This is April Preyar, and I'm here with
Keshia Martin.
Yes, and the two of us recently met in this amazing class with this great energy, and it's called the Be on TV Chat Bootcamp. Bootcamp, and we paired up as accountability partners. And so I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about what it is that we're doing right now and why we're doing this together.
All right. Thank you, April, for that fabulous introduction. What we're doing in this class today is actually learning how to pitch TV networks and shows so that we can reach as many people just like yourself with our messages.
So incredible. So we're out here to practice on y'all. Y'all are our guinea pigs today.
Pretty
so
much.
I know the folks on Keisha's page don't know me, but we're going to act like we old friends, we family. And the folks on my page, you better welcome Keshia with some great energy. But I'll kick off by interviewing her so she can kind of practice her pitch and what she would say if she's sitting down with Oprah, or she's sitting down with, I don't know, with Gail or whoever, or Ellen. So I'll play that role and then we'll switch. So, Miss Keshia,
yes,
tell us a little bit about your background.
Girl, it is crazy. I had started in HR, and then I've done design, and now here I am as a vibrational healing coach. And I know people are wondering, what the heck is that, and how do you go from A to Z?
How did you go from A to Z? How did you go from HR, this strict, kind of stiff background, to being did you say a vibrational healer? Tell us about that.
Vibrational healer, yes. Now that was a huge shift. I am completely happier. I'm walking in my purpose. And with the vibrational healing, I get to help folks that are dealing with stress and anxiety and tension, but more importantly, help them through their spiritual awakening and really start to walk into their purpose, like how I did coming from the HR background.
Wow. So, spiritual awakening. Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like and what that would feel like to the average person who's experiencing it.
It might feel like a mess, like hell. Everyone has this idea that it's like roses and posies, and it's not. What happens is it's a complete disruption of your entire being, because what's happening is you may have already been stressed, tired, and fatigued, and you want out. You're upset with how things are going, and you know that there's a bigger passion. And as you start to ask for certain things, that shedding comes with taking things away. And the things that
Wow.
we start to lose, right, might be the things that we're so nearly attached to. It could be our home, it could be our marriage, it could be our friends. So it can come with a big old mess that people have no idea, and they feel as though everything's against them, but they have no idea that it's their blessing upon them.
So, this mess, how should somebody manage this sudden spiritual awakening that turns their lives upside down?
A lot of times they end up going to therapy. Some might start drinking or picking up a vice that becomes like this habit. So that's on the keep it real side. That's exactly what normally goes on. You find yourself in the club, the bar. You're seeking something outside of yourself constantly. But when they start to hear something like this message that I'm saying, or they start to feel there's something more inside, they say that even if they're not a complete wreck, they might just have this longing to feel like they're home, or they want to find themselves. That's a typical word. They'll say that they want to find themselves. That's usually an indicator that, hey, I'm ready to embark my spiritual journey.
And so, how do you fit into that? So, if somebody is going through this experience and their lives are turned topsy-turvy, how do you fit into that equation?
I help them through those. I help coach them through that. So I do it through energetic healings, where I actually feel the energy that's within their body and outside of it. I also pinpoint where some of that stress is coming from, where it rooted, where it may have started, and we clear it. Then I give them things to do to change, whether it's through intuitive guidance. I will receive what I'm hearing, like maybe they need to change something in their diet, maybe there's certain things, people they need to forgive, things like that will come through, and then that person then puts in the work. But this journey with me, it's a two-part process, and it really requires that person who's ready to be able to want to go through this. And there's times
Okay.
that, yeah.
So if somebody's ready to, dig a little bit deeper into the mess, figure out why everything is falling apart, and they contact you because of COVID, how would they work through that process with you?
Easy. We a lot of the sessions that I have now are via the phone. I've worked with folks all over the world, from Australia to England, California. It really doesn't matter. Distance and time doesn't exist when we're connecting energetically. And it's a beautiful thing. It's so surprising. It's even fascinating for me to hear when someone's like, oh, I feel this in my body. I feel warmth, or I feel an expansion in my heart, or they feel better. And the results have been amazing, because I've seen so many folks go from like maybe struggling in their relationship, especially now with COVID and dealing with those type of issues, and then expanding, maybe not wanting to end their marriage, and not only that, they're expanding in their business. They're tapping into what their initial passion is, and then they're taking action on it. So that's exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that, because the way you describe or define spiritual awakening really seems like 2020 for everybody.
Right.
It's disruptive. It threw us all off our square. People are boxed up with their significant others and finding out that they really don't like them that much, and they're either having babies or they're getting divorced. And
Right.
so everything is so different now than it was, say, 12 months ago or 10 months ago. And
Mhm.
so it sounds like you are needed. Like you're gonna be getting some calls in this time. I know you say time and space don't matter, but this seems to be a significant time where people are going to be needing you. So how was it that you came to this work? What was your spiritual awakening?
My spiritual awakening was, whew, it started, I was on a journey for a very long time. I grew up like everyone else. I went to church and did all that wonderful stuff. But then I was that why child, always like asking questions. But after I had kids, certain things would happen. I would have these experiences. And I remember going to, churches and places at the time trying to get the answers. Fast forward that, once again, I started hearing like verses and started just like wondering, well, how am I hearing this? And they're actually in the Bible. And then random folks would walk up to me and tell me, oh, you have a gift, you can heal, you can do this, you can do that. So it was a lot of like, wake up was happening. I went through a major car accident. I went through a divorce, and all of these occurrences. The car accident was 7 years ago, and that really sat me down to pay attention. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere. My head was all messed up and my eyes. So then it made me really like go internal, start meditating. I had learned how to meditate 5 years prior, but it really brought me in, and it opened me up to exactly who I am today.
That's amazing. And that sounds like, again, the journey that a lot of people are on in this time and space, is they had to turn inward. They had to literally stay in the house. They
Yeah,
couldn't
I
connect
was
with
in the house for like
others.
6 months.
Yeah.
Couldn't leave. I didn't They took away my driving abilities, and it sucked. I couldn't go anywhere. And then after that, I couldn't because I had a bad serious head concussion. If I tried to go out and have a social life, I couldn't enjoy it because the crowds and the noise were bothering me. So I ended up like not have I lost my social life then, and then the inwardness really took me through a whole other journey.
And then how did you turn that around?
I was like, how am I going to make money? I knew I wanted to write a book. I know I want to help people. I know these things are happening. How do I stay in my passion and not feel as though there's something wrong with it, like to help people. And I met a coach, and that's how I turned things around. I learned, and then I went through the mindset shifts. And because I went through the mindset shifts and some of the emotional pains of like losing my graphic design business, because I was really passionate about being creative, I understand what many folks are going through, because it's not easy, losing what you've been working hard for so many years, and then being isolated and taken away from everything that you love to do. And then there's something greater, but you don't know how to get there. You don't know how to unlock it. And this thing can last years if you're not, if you don't know what's going on.
And if you don't have a guide like you
don't have a guide, yeah, you can lose a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades of just trying to find yourself, if you don't have a guide.
And so how would you tell people to find you so that you can guide them through this experience that you know so well, that you've been through? How can they find you so that you can guide them as well?
They can find me on my website. It's my name, Keshia, Keshia, Martin.com. They can also email me at support@KeshiaMartin.com. And then I'm on all the social networks, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, as the same name as well. Keshia Martin.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keshia. And I'm so glad that you had this spiritual awakening so that you can help others as they embark upon the same.
Thank you, April. Thank you so much. You did such a phenomenal job. I don't know if I'll be able to come. I don't know if I can be able to meet this level.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know if I can
ask questions for a living. Questions for a living. I just get to be sociable here instead of grilling you on the witness stand.
So you said the witness stand. April, please share with my group, because everyone, I have to tell you guys, since I've met this woman, I actually feel like I've known her for a very long time. And this connection that we have, it's like, as soon as we got on the phone, she was like, all right, so tell me what you're ready for. And I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I needed. I'm glad I found you, and I can't wait for folks to hear what you do, because I'm passionate about this as well. One of my deepest passion that really drives what I'm doing with helping people connects with exactly what April is doing. So April, please share with my group, my folks, my community. Tell my community what you do.
I kick open the jailhouse doors and unlock the chains that bind us. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I have been for 21 years, and I'm very good at what I do. And I grew frustrated and wanted to reach more people. So I found ways to not only represent people in the courtroom in their darkest hour, but also how to teach them to never need my professional services.
Wow. How do you do this?
So first I started with a Facebook platform. So, I was posting stuff on Facebook. I would say 10 things during the holiday season to avoid a DUI, that type of stuff. And I would know that those posts would just really take off. And so on a whim, really in a fit of anger at 3 a.m., I got up and did a rant video. I never did videos. I would just post text, but I got up and did a rant video about how mamas and grandmamas were sending their kids off by giving them the wrong information. And when I woke up, it had 5,000 views. I said, great, I reached all my friends and maybe some of their friends, and they can teach their kids. And then there was a woman who was doing our social media at my firm, and she just kept pushing me, April, you got to do more videos. You got to do it on a regular basis. You got all this information and nobody's sharing it, and nobody's teaching it in the school, and nobody's teaching it in the churches. So I kind of rolled my eyes, and then I did 2 more. And the third video got 1.2 million views overnight.
Wow.
And that's when I knew that there was a need, and that there were people who didn't know this information. They thought that when they were interacting with the police that they were doing all the things, they were doing all the right things. And in turn, they were ending up putting themselves in harm's way. And so I got really passionate about the videos, started doing 1 a week, gave myself the moniker, the Justice Junkie. But I spell justice a little bit differently. There's a saying, there is no justice, there's just us, meaning Black and brown people are usually excluded from true justice. And I wanted to bring that into my community.
And there's a special way you spell that. Can you share that with me?
JUSTUS is how I spell justice instead of the traditional spelling.
So it's just us.
Just us. Yes.
So that's so symbolic, because you're saying that it's not just this one person. It's like we're all in this together. Now, you also did something. You're highly creative, because you saw a problem, you were able to create something that can help us. Can you share what this is?
Yeah, I created a board game, and people are like, a board game? What? Kids are in the video games, they're in the apps. But I specifically created a board game, one, because I wasn't reaching teenagers and young adults on Facebook. That's where old people hang out like me. They're on Snapchat and TikTok and whatever else they create next week. But I wanted to reach them where they were, which is, before COVID, was the schools. You're stuck in school 5-6 hours a day. You're tired of that teacher lecturing to you. And so you see any opportunity to do something different other than write, read, and listen, kids jump at it. And so I developed a board game, and I started going into schools and churches and nonprofits and after school programs. And it's one thing to have a good idea. It's another thing to actually find out if it works. And what happened was the kids put their little shiny devices down. They talked to each other. They talked trash about who was going to get to the finish line first. And then they forgot adults were in the room and started having really great conversations about what they're up to, how they had relatives who may have had a brush with the law, and how they understood it better by playing the game. And that's really what it facilitated, was the conversation that parents don't know how to have with their kids, that awkward talk that they have when you turn 15 or 16, because now you got the keys to the car. Parents don't know what to say. And so it became a great tool for kids and adults. Adults would learn just by ear hustling, but the kids would really take to it really fast and know immediately what to do if they got stopped by police 5 minutes after playing.
That is amazing.
Thank
That
you.
is really amazing. So many parents probably want to know how to have. I have a son, so without this game, to me as a parent, feels like, okay, instead of me having to scare my child into worrying about your skin color all the time, it seems as though, all right, he gets to see in a fun way how to for problem resolution.
Yeah, and the great thing is, people ask me if I get pushback from cops about it. And actually, I don't. Because think about it. If a kid knows, okay, what to do, they know not to run, not to reach for anything suddenly. They know not to run their mouths. They know not to resist from a police officer. That's a smooth transaction. Whether the cop is just handing you a ticket or whether they are actually putting you in handcuffs, it's smoother for them. They're not worried about their lives. And in turn, the person being stopped or detained or arrested is no longer worried about their life. So it's a really powerful, life-saving tool. And my goal is to end these police-involved killings. It's to end false confessions. And it's to reduce the number of arrests between 17 and 25-year-olds.
That's gorgeous. Absolutely amazing. What inspired you to do this?
A close friend's kid got in a little bit of trouble. And I was concerned that even though all players involved had my telephone number in their phones, nobody called me until it got messy. And that told me that this is a kid I knew and I watched grow up, and they didn't know the rules. So that meant that the masses certainly didn't know the rules, because this was like the dirty secret that defense attorneys keep. For the most part, we're not teaching and we're not reaching kids. And then I just felt a moral obligation that if this kid that I love and I watched grow up got into this mess and the parents didn't reach out to me until it was super messy, that this is something that I should be extending to parents who don't have access to me, who don't know an attorney, and certainly don't know a criminal defense attorney.
What are some of the things that people don't know that they should be aware of to avoid something like this? Because we always hear what we shouldn't do. Don't speak up, don't do this, don't do that. But on a human side, as you're defending these folks and you're seeing where they may, because you're defending them, and you're seeing where they may be right, what advice can you give based from this experience? Those experiences.
My number one lesson overall is shut up, lawyer up. And so that is, no matter if you did it or you didn't do it, if it's a big misunderstanding or you are caught red-handed, shut up, share the story with your attorney, but don't try to fight your battle on the corner physically. Don't try to fight your battle on the corner with the cop verbally. Instead, save all those battles for the courtroom. And then my second lesson that I really need parents to know is that, and this will vary depending on where you live in the country, but in the vast majority of states, cops can interview and interrogate your kid in your absence. And there's this myth that parents believe, oh, they can't talk to my kid unless I'm there. No, you're going to have a seasoned detective grilling your 15-year-old who just got his head out the phone playing PS5 or whatever. So you need to know that you need to teach that child, even at 15, even at 14, even at 8, to shut up and lawyer up, not ask for mommy. They will notify, meaning the police will notify the parent of the child's whereabouts eventually. That doesn't mean they'll do it 30 seconds after grabbing you. It might be 30 hours after holding you. And so in the meantime, the child needs to stop asking for mama, because mama can't stop the interrogation. We saw that with the Central Park Five. I believe 4 of those 5 young men had a parent, a relative, a dad, a grandma, a sister sitting next to them as they gave this false confession that was fed to them, because that parent did not stop that interrogation. An attorney can, and the attorney becomes the most reliable, credible witness on your behalf, saying, nope, that kid couldn't have said that. He couldn't have confessed because I told every police officer in that station that that kid had nothing to say.
Okay. But what in case scenarios like where the child may not have done anything wrong? Because we've seen cases where throughout these years with the police body cams and as we do research certain things, like maybe somebody was just jogging or they were just minding their own business and they go through an experience like that.
Well, I teach people that the rules are the same whether you did it or you didn't do it. And that's the thing. Like, we think that our behavior should change. Oh, I didn't do it, so I should be able to explain myself and tell this cop that this is one big mistake. No, you talking on your own behalf can get misinterpreted. It can get manipulated. A lot of kids speak in slang that the cops don't understand. So you don't want to be misunderstood. So it's best to simply hold everything you have to say and save it for the witness stand if it gets that far. At the very least, wait until you can talk to your attorney and get the attorney's advice on how to proceed. Don't give up all your ammunition by running your mouth in the police station or in the backseat of the police car or even on the scene.
Okay. And what's like the goal of the game?
The goal, like I said, is to reduce the number.
Like when they're playing the game.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, like when they're playing the game. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, if I want to play the game, like, well, how do I win?
So the goal is to get to triumph. It's called Trials and Triumph, and there are 2 worlds. There's the world of possibilities where you graduate high school, you buy a puppy, you go to medical school, you have all these great things happen to you, and your computer dies. Just ups and downs of life. And along the way, there are red squares that say flashing lights. If you land on a red square, then you draw a flashing lights card. And then you land in the world of trouble, which is court and jail and not being able to bond out and that endless cycle. So your goal is to avoid the world of trouble, stay on track, and beat all of your friends to triumph. And so what kids have happen is they've had all these great things happen. They graduated medical school, they bought a house, they bought a rental property, and then they lose it all because of an arrest. And that really resonates with kids. They get very upset. Like, oh man, I made all these gains. I got married, I had a kid, I bought a dog, and then I lost it all because I made this dumb mistake. And that they get. But the goal is to triumph.
That's super impactful, especially in communities where they don't have someone to teach them something like this. Maybe the parent is way too busy, they're working, and they don't have that, or they've already mentally and emotionally suppressed where they believe this is your only outcome, trouble, 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 trouble. So what's the mindset shift that you feel will come out of this game?
That you control the outcome. That's what I want kids to walk away with, because even if you listen to politicians talk, they want to leave everything in the hands of the police officer. Oh, it's about police training. It's about whether the police department gets defunded or they get extra money or we get extra cops. It's not up to them. It's about you controlling your own autonomy, your own body, your own outcome. And that kids, no matter how young, have the ability to shift the outcome. They can turn any situation around, no matter how dark, no matter how scary, no matter how intimidating. And that's the message that I want kids to be left with. So yeah, it helps to know the nuts and bolts and know a few of the rules, but to be able to stand in their own power is really what I want, the message that I want
Wow.
to reach kids.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Especially as a parent. I'm sure other parents, you guys can hit like, comment, whatever below. If you know how many times do you have to repeat to your child to get one thing done, and then eventually, and then they get tone deaf. They act like, huh? Man, I hear you. Did you do your homework? Oh. So we as parents know our kids get tone deaf just to hearing what we have to say. So imagine when they're walking out that front door when we're actually worried about them and they're going to hook up with their friends and we're not sure what they're going to communicate about. By planting these seeds and they're learning it through this game, they have that really just it comes full circle. I see why we met. It's awesome. So it's so awesome. I'm glad that you created this. I'm glad that I hope many people buy this product because they really need it. You absolutely need it, especially whether you have a brown boy, white boy, son, daughter. It doesn't matter what you have. It's important that we all understand because through anything I think we learned in 2020 is that a lot of people are in disbelief
Mhm.
that it's that there's police brutality.
Yeah. But what I keep telling people is that the only thing that's new is the cell phone cameras.
Right.
Nothing has changed. And even if you look at the Washington Post does a tally every week. They update it every Wednesday, I believe, on how many police involved shootings there have been in the last 365 days. So it's a rolling calendar. And it's always the same. It's always between 1,020 and 1,050, and 25% are always Black. Doesn't
Wow.
matter the year. You could go back to 2015, the numbers are going to look the same. So the only thing that's new is everybody's got one of these in their hand. But it's all been going on the entire 21 years I've been practicing law. I've been hearing the stories, and now it's just coming to light. And like you mentioned, this is for everybody. It's not just for boys. Everybody seems to think my game is just for boys or this information is just for boys. But who's going to be riding shotgun with them? Who's going to prom with them? Who's riding to the corner with them? Who's walking to the corner store with them? Whether it's their sister, their girlfriend, their acquaintance. The girls need to know the same things that the boys do.
What's one of the saddest stories that you've ever like had to defend?
The saddest story actually was I also do civil rights cases, meaning I sue cops. So the saddest story I've ever had, the most heartbreaking loss I ever had was there was a Puerto Rican kid. He was 21, but he was the first person from his family to graduate from high school,
Mm,
and he was schizophrenic. And
mm,
so he had had some challenges. He had tried to take his life before. So this particular day, he was acting odd. His mother, he barricaded himself in his room. His mother specifically called the hospital first and says,
mm.
hey, my son's having some mental health challenges. What do I do? They said, call 911. She calls 911 and specifically asks for EMTs, not police. But who comes
Mm.
to the door? First the fire department, and then moments later the police. The police are in her house 90 seconds before they take his life. First they
Mm.
taser him. They push the door open about this wide and shoot in the dark, taser him. He was a big guy and it had no effect on him. And then they shot him twice in the chest.
Mm.
So this is a response to someone who is suicidal. The mother asks for help. The stepdad is standing there giving them directions, saying, hey, 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 like, what are you doing? And he gets to witness the boy that he had raised be shot to death by
Oh my
police.
God.
So that is the saddest story that I've had,
Oh my
because when we
God.
lost the trial, and the all white, well, there was one black juror, and she at the end says, "Oh, poor baby," to the white cop. "Oh, poor baby that you had to take someone's life." And the heartbreaking part was losing the trial was akin to doing the funeral a second time for the mom. The mom was absolutely inconsolable. And that was the hardest thing for us to tell her, that this jury viewed your son's life being worth $0 and instead sided with this white cop.
Oh my gosh. I
So that's
understand you.
why I
I,
did.
I understand your passion. Thank you so much for being who you are and taking that stance. And thank you for listening to your own intuition at 3 a.m. to reach so many voices, um, and to expand your message. Um, wow. I think we all know someone who's experienced something like that. I actually have a friend, a family friend, who died similar. He had a mental illness, and when they called the police, they ended up killing him, shot him 5 times, and that was hard. And I don't think justice will be served, for that. They're gonna. So that was moving. Thank you, April, for sharing your love and your light, and really walking in your passion. I hope this board game takes off and everyone like gets it, and empowers our young children. I hope some parents get involved too, because it'll help that their mindset, understanding that, hey, that there's certain options, because sometimes we have a tendency to take out our own beliefs, self-limiting beliefs, and push it into our children, like, oh, don't expect too much in life because this is what's going to happen to you. You need to work hard and struggle. So it's good that they have this, so that way it can be like a family thing, bringing families together, especially with Corona and being in this pandemic, and you're spending more time at home. It really gives everybody something to do, and they're learning something. So
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well,
This was
thank
really
you.
fun.
It
Thank you for
was fun. So hopefully these news networks will see us and pick us up and realize that our messages are powerful and transformative.
exactly.
Well, thank you, Keshia.
Thank you, April. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you all for watching.
Definitely. So if you love our message, follow her.
Yeah, we don't know which screen she'll put on. Check the link. I'll drop the link.
Down here. That's right. Click it.
All right.
Bye, guys.